Hello, and I hope everyone is doing good today. I'm a Google developers expert in Angular. For the past 3 years, I have been coding for over 8 years. I right now am settled in Sweden, Stockholm, and I'm working as a software architect in a company called Syncron. Having said that, if you have got any questions about Angular, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm gonna share my screen and start with the demo without wasting any more time. Awesome. So the thing is, or the question for today is, can a piece of code actually fix my posture? And the answer is yes. And we have this possibility or we have this feasibility because of combining a couple of technologies that we are using right now. So if you want to find out or find me out, you can see the link at the very bottom. So you can see my bio link and then just reach out to me if you have any questions. Let's move forward. What is Angular? In one word, it's magic, because it has a lot of cool things that you can use to build your web applications, and not just web applications, but even mobile applications, desktop applications, whatnot. So Angular is not just a library, it's a development platform, which comprises of a couple of things, including a component-based framework, a strong ecosystem of tools, and a suite of development tools that really makes it easier for everyone to build applications. Now, if you talk about the Angular library ecosystem, it's huge. But the good thing is that these things already work with Angular and everyone knows about them. So you don't have to go find out, hey, what do I use for routing? What do I use for, let's say, HTTP calls? You don't have to figure all of that out because it's already there and everyone uses that. One of the questions that people ask me, specifically since I'm a software engineer, is it being tough being a software engineer? I would probably say otherwise, but I think Dave tells it better, who says that working in IT is not stressing at all. And you can see that Dave is just 28 years old and looks pretty good shape. So the thing is that we usually work day and night, coding, figuring out stuff, doing side projects and whatnot. And it often happens that in the end, we have this sort of situation where you get up after a while from your seat and you're like, oh, no, I hate my life and whatnot. So the thing is that technology is something that has been innovating lives for years and it's continuing to do so. I mean, look at what we are doing with just JavaScript HTML. You might know that NASA actually has its program of docking its satellites built on web technologies, built on JavaScript HTML and CSS. So question is, hey, Ahsan, what did you build? Why are you boring us with all of this information? So I'm going to get to it right now. I used these technologies and combine them together, all the goodness of these technologies, including Angular, ML5, P5.js, and Electron. We already talked about Angular. I'm going to quickly share about P5.js and Electron first. So P5.js is a library that is used to draw things on the UI. It doesn't necessarily mean HTML5 canvas, but you can also draw things like HTML elements like divs, spans, and whatnot. So it makes it really easy for us to draw or sketch things. Electron is a tool that is used to create desktop applications that you can then distribute to, Linux, macOS, Windows, and other platforms as well. ML5 is something that I'm just going to go a bit detail in, and then we are going to jump into the demo. So ML5.js is a library that provides a couple of tools, specifically around classifications, because it works with neural networks or its own trained models through which you can do, let's say, image classification. But this is just one thing. You can do image classification, but not just, hey, is this a cat or is this a dog? But there are multiple things, like you can have face meshes. You can see what are the expressions of a face. You can also have like your hand movements detected, which would mean that it would detect all the points of your all joints. And you can do crazy stuff with that. So go to ML5.js and try different things out. So not only image classification, but also sound classification. So you can differentiate between different words, different kind of sounds, different tonalities. Similarly, you can do text classification to figure out, hey, what kind of text is this? Is this in a happy mode? You can also do sentiment analysis and whatnot. And finally, it also has a lot of helpers that you can use within your projects as well. Now, what do we use from ML5 is a really important question. And we use something called POSENET. So POSENET is ML5's trained model that detects posture, or not just the posture, but actually pose overall, detecting all the joints in your body, which might include like your hand, your shoulders, your nose, your eyes, and whatever. You can see that in this image, we have a lot of detection going on right there. What did I use out of it? I used some points in the data that you see right here, but do not be fooled by the position of these things. Right now, it shows my eyes, my ears, my nose, but you see that it's a bit up. And I've figured it out that this is based on different cameras. So right now, the camera that I'm using, it has a focal length of 1.4, but with webcams or cheaper cams, it works really well. So I'm going to be moving away actually from ML5, but I'm going to show you the result from my webcam right now that is much better than what I get here. So this is the result from my webcam, and you can see that my eyes, my ears, and my shoulders, they are pretty accurate. You can see that as I move and dab, it kind of detects my posture. It sees where I'm moving, where are my joints, and a fun jump at the end as well. Now, we are finally going to look at the demo. What does the app look like and what does it do when you have opened it? So the first thing is that when you open the app, it trains on your data. So we don't have to provide any data ourselves, which means that it's going to be a lot more accurate because it trains on your provided data. You can sit in front of your camera while you're providing this data, while you're training this model. You can move around with your position like you would usually do. You would do it in terms of the correct posture first, and then you're going to do it in the wrong posture. So it can identify what is your correct posture and what is your wrong posture. So I'm quickly going to show you how it looks like within the app itself. So I'm going to move forward from this intro video. So see what happens. Initially, it takes the data for the correct posture. You would sit in front of your camera. You would look at the camera first, then you would do left and right motion, up and down motion, and then you will provide it the incorrect data posture. Now you could provide as much data as possible. And the more data that you provide, the more time you spend on it, the more accurate this becomes. And once you are done with that, you can see that it detects if you are sitting in the correct posture or not in the correct posture. So this is the correct posture and this is the incorrect posture. You can see that I'm leaning down a bit. My chin is closer to my shoulders, which means I'm not sitting straight. So it detects it pretty accurately. And then if you're sitting for, let's say, a minute or something, then it also sends a notification within the system. Right now I'm working on Windows. So it throws a Windows notification, system notification saying that, hey, you have been sitting in a wrong posture for about a minute. And that is pretty much it. That is what it does overall. Moving forward, where we go from there, or what's next? As I said, I'm going to be moving away from ML5. ML5 is really accurate, but it is sort of, or its POSENET method is sort of a wrapper above this, the TensorFlow models per se. So there are some models from TensorFlow which are much more advanced, like MoveNet. There's BlazeNet or BlazeMove. I don't know what it's called, but they're much better alternates to POSENET itself. That's what I'm going to be doing. This project was not a paid project. This was a fun project that I did just to learn about POSENET, machine learning and whatnot. So I'm going to be refining this. I'm going to be making sure it is distributable. Right now it's open sourced. So I'm going to be promoting this and, taking input from other people about the feature, how to use that. And you can also use that. You can fork it. You cannot sell it, unfortunately, but you can fork it and try it out. And maybe try to get your posture in a better version. So having said that, a final shameless plug. And this is because I worked on Angular for this one, and I've been an Angular GDE as well. If you're looking to polish your skills as a web developer, get this Angular book. This was released in August, so it's almost up to date with the latest version of Angular. So you can definitely get that. It's doing really good in terms of community adoption and an overview. Just go check out the reviews on Amazon and you'll see it. Finally, I would highly suggest, if you have a dog, never take that to snowboarding, because you might end up in something like this, which is probably sad. Having said that, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for allowing me to showcase my work. It was really fun. And I hope you learned something from it, and feel free to reach out to me via my bio link that you see at the bottom. I usually respond within 24 hours. And that's pretty much it from my end. Thank you.
The next question is, why not Python? Why did you use, is JS good for machine learning?
That's a good question. And the main reason is I am not very big fan of Python, and I'm not very proficient in that as well. I like to code in JavaScript as much as possible. And TensorFlow.js has its own port of JavaScript, which is as performant as the Python one. So yeah, personal preference in short.
We have another question which says that they are strong in Python, but not so strong in JS. But they want to pursue machine learning on the web. So what should be the path for them?
Really good question. I would highly suggest to look at TensorFlow Lite. They have a lot of good documentation and demos on their website. I didn't get a chance to do it before this, preparing this demo, but I had a sneak peek at the TensorFlow models for this one, and they're really easy to implement. So I'm going to suggest that have a look at those. And from there, we can move forward. I wouldn't suggest going for ML5 because it's kind of old school right now. But TensorFlow itself is going to be the beginning point, I think, for sure.
How much maths did you learn to start machine learning?
Not much, to be honest. I think POSENET itself provided a lot of things for me. So I didn't have to, train the data myself and do all of that, which is usually required if you're working with Python or you're doing your own data science. So I wouldn't say too much. I didn't need to learn in any sort of ML. I just needed my programming experience that I already have to glue things together. I think that's what worked with me. When it comes to maths, I think it's mostly used in a deeper level in ML or in game programming. So I was doing some game programming recently on my live streams, by the way, which you can join from the social links, and I'm going to share with the organizers as well. So I stream on every Wednesday and Saturday. But yeah, the game programming, that definitely required a lot of maths.
So just building on top of this, so I also feel like a lot of developers, they can just get started with using the machine learning tools and libraries available to build projects and products, and they don't need to have the ground level information. This is just not true for machine learning per se. It's true for any library or framework or any technology that you can just incorporate, and you don't need to know the background scenes behind it. I'm not sure if that should be the right approach. As a student, that is my approach, but I would love for your comment on this.
It depends. As a beginner, I don't think you need to worry about that. As long as you are not doing something custom, or you don't have the luxury to use, let's say, a lot of libraries, or you want to reduce the bundle size as well. Because the trade-off when you become senior, you start looking into, hey, how do I make this performant? How do I make sure that it's the least amount of code that I ship? If you go to Twitter and you follow the Googlers, like from Chrome team, you will always find out them talking about how much JavaScript we ship with our code now versus like 10 years ago. So I think as a beginner, you shouldn't be worrying about that. But as you go forward and you start digging more into it, then it's fine. But one question that everyone asks is, do I need maths to do ML? Do I need maths to do programming? I would say no. You can just get started and learn as you go.
And there's some people who want to know, how are you giving such amazing talks, and they want tips regarding the talk presentation.
That's a good question. I've had years of experience per se, because I always, just before exams, I learned everything. So I'm from that era, which means that these slides, I created them like half an hour ago. But that's years of practice, I would say. You gotta build up the storyline. You gotta share how, the back pain, working day and night. You got to lay down a story. I think that's what helped me. But also, I think what's really important for you to learn something is to watch other good people explaining things. So there's a technique in what do you call it? Neural linguistic programming, that is called mirroring, which means that it is humanly possible for you to adapt anyone's good qualities to 100% just by mirroring them, just by doing exactly what they do, how they do. So you can Google this. It's really easy. So I try to mirror good speakers, which is potentially proving to be good. So you can do the same as well. Thank you for inviting me. Have a good one.